Amelia Hart and Jason Turner looked like the perfect newlyweds, young, beautiful, and hopelessly in love. But 5 days into their dream honeymoon in the Maldives, Jason was found dead on the beach, and Amelia's fairy tale life turned into a nightmare. What seemed like a tragic accident soon unraveled into a web of deceit, obsession, and betrayal. Because Jason had a secret lover who followed them to paradise, determined that if she couldn't have him, no one would. Amelia Hart and Jason Turner were the kind of couple people couldn't help but admire. Their love story seemed picture-perfect, the sort of romance that belonged in glossy magazines and wedding blogs. They met at a company networking event in London, where Amelia was presenting a new design campaign. Jason, charming and confident, approached her afterward to compliment her work. One conversation led to another, and soon they were inseparable. Friends often said they were meant for each other, a balance of creativity and ambition. Within a year, Jason proposed during a trip to Paris, and Amelia said yes through tears of joy. Their wedding was a spectacle of beauty and elegance. Everything was planned to perfection. White roses lining the aisle, soft violin music in the background, and a crowd of smiling guests capturing every moment. Amelia wore a gown that shimmered under the lights, and Jason couldn't take his eyes off her. They promised forever in front of everyone, sealing their vows with a kiss that felt like the start of a lifetime. The next morning, social media was filled with photos of the radiant couple, tagged with captions like #couplegoals and #foreverlove. The Maldives honeymoon was Jason's idea. He wanted them to begin their new chapter surrounded by calm water and endless sunshine. Amelia imagined peaceful days, romantic dinners, and long walks on the beach. Everything seemed like a dream, but dreams have shadows too. As the plane soared toward paradise, she noticed Jason scrolling through his phone, replying quickly to messages before locking the screen. His expression was distant, unreadable. She brushed it off, convincing herself that marriage came with adjustments. But deep down, something unsettled her. Amelia didn't know it yet, but the honeymoon meant to celebrate love would instead uncover a secret capable of destroying everything. The resort was breathtaking, the kind of place Amelia had only seen in travel magazines. Their villa stood above clear blue water, with glass floors showing fish gliding beneath. The staff greeted them with garlands of flowers, and everything felt perfect. But perfection began to crumble in small, almost invisible ways. Jason seemed distracted from the moment they arrived. He smiled for photos, but the warmth behind it felt forced. During meals, his phone was never far from his hand. When Amelia asked if everything was fine, he brushed it off with a quick nod and said he was just tired from the wedding chaos. At night, she would wake up to the sound of the balcony door sliding open and find him outside, staring into the distance with his phone glowing in his hand. When she called his name, he would slip it into his pocket too quickly. It felt like a tiny crack forming in something that was supposed to be unbreakable. On the third day, Amelia's unease grew heavier. While Jason showered, a message popped up on his screen. The words were brief but unsettling. Asterisk, you can't ignore me forever. Asterisk, her stomach twisted. The contact name was a man's name, but the message carried a tone of familiarity that went beyond friendship. She didn't know what to think. Maybe it was a misunderstanding, maybe something innocent. But she couldn't shake the image of Jason's guarded expression, his nervous glances whenever his phone buzzed. That evening, as the sun painted the ocean gold, Jason suggested they spend some time apart so he could clear his head. Amelia smiled and agreed, though inside, fear began to settle. She didn't know that someone else had already arrived on the island, someone who knew exactly what Jason was hiding. Lila Marks had always been the secret no one knew about. While Jason played the role of the perfect fiancé, she had been the one waiting in the shadows, believing every lie he told her. They met at a conference years before he met Amelia, and from the beginning, Jason knew how to make her feel special. He promised her commitment, love, and a future together. But when he met Amelia, everything changed. Lila noticed the shift immediately, the late replies, the canceled plans, the distant tone. Then, one day, he disappeared from her life completely. No explanation, just silence. Months later, she saw his engagement photos online. Jason smiling, holding Amelia's hand, glowing in happiness that wasn't hers. The betrayal consumed her. She tried calling him, texting him, even showing up at his office. He blocked her everywhere. Her heartbreak slowly turned into anger, and her anger into obsession. She created fake social media accounts just to keep watching them, scrolling through pictures of their romantic life. Every new photo felt like a knife twisting deeper. When she discovered their honeymoon destination through Amelia's Instagram story, something inside her snapped. She booked a flight to the Maldives under a false name. The long journey gave her time to think, but not enough to calm the storm inside her. She wasn't sure what she planned to do: confront him, plead with him, or punish him. As her boat approached the same resort where the newlyweds stayed, Lila watched the sunset paint the sky orange. To anyone else, it was paradise, but to her, it was a battleground. She checked into a nearby villa, her suitcase heavy with the weight of her decision. Somewhere between heartbreak and fury, Lila Marks decided she would make Jason face what he'd done. The 5th day of the honeymoon began like any other: bright skies, calm waves, and breakfast served on the deck overlooking the endless blue. Amelia felt an ache of hope that maybe things were turning around. Jason seemed more relaxed that morning, even smiled at her the way he used to. They spent the afternoon snorkeling and taking pictures for friends back home. For a few hours, the tension that had followed them seemed to fade. But as the sun began to sink, Jason grew distant again. He told Amelia he wanted to take a walk alone along the beach, said he needed to clear his head before dinner. She agreed, thinking he might just need space to breathe. That was the last time she saw him alive. When he didn't return after sunset, Amelia grew worried. She called the front desk, and soon resort staff began searching the shoreline. Hours passed, but there was no sign of him. His phone was still in the villa, his sandals left near the deck steps. Panic spread through the quiet resort as flashlights cut across the sand. Guests gathered, whispering, wondering what had happened. At dawn, a staff member found Jason's body near the rocks at the far end of the island. The sight was devastating. The ocean had carried him back, his skin pale and cold. There were bruises on his arms and faint marks around his neck, details that didn't fit an accidental drowning. The local police sealed off the area, treating it as a possible homicide. Amelia collapsed in shock, unable to comprehend the scene before her. When the investigation began, an officer mentioned something strange: strands of long blonde hair clutched in Jason's hand. Amelia's hair was dark. That single discovery changed everything. Someone else had been there that night. The Maldivian authorities moved quickly, turning the serene island into a crime scene overnight. Tourists were confined to their villas while police combed the beaches for evidence. Detectives interviewed staff, guests, and eventually Amelia herself. Her trembling voice recounted every detail of that night: the walk Jason took, the hours she waited, the moment she saw his body. Though she was devastated, her grief carried a layer of confusion. Nothing made sense. Jason had no enemies, no reason to be harmed. At least, that's what she believed. Then came the surveillance footage. A resort camera captured something chilling: a woman in a wide sun hat and sunglasses walking along the boardwalk near Jason's villa shortly before the time he vanished. The woman's face was obscured, but her movements seemed deliberate, confident. Staff confirmed she wasn't a registered guest. Investigators traced her presence through credit card transactions and discovered a booking under a false name at a neighboring resort. Interpol became involved, and soon the truth surfaced. The mysterious woman was identified as Lila Marks, Jason's former lover. Her background shocked everyone. Records showed she had arrived 2 days before the Turners and had been seen multiple times around the resort, watching them from a distance. In her room, police found chilling evidence: photos of Jason and Amelia at the wedding, printed and torn in half, and a small diary filled with angry notes. The most damning piece was a letter addressed to Jason, written in Lila's handwriting. Asterisk, "You said forever. You said you'd choose me." Asterisk alongside it was a plane ticket back to London for the day after his death. But when investigators went to arrest her, the room was empty. Lila Marks had vanished, leaving behind only her haunting words and a mystery that deepened with every passing hour. Lila's disappearance turned the case into an international obsession. News outlets across the world covered the story, dubbing it the honeymoon murder. Images of Amelia crying on the beach became headlines, her every move analyzed by strangers. The public was divided. Some saw her as a grieving widow. others as a woman hiding something darker. With Lila missing and no eyewitnesses, theories flourished. Some believed Jason's death was a tragic crime of passion. Others whispered that Amelia herself had orchestrated it, using Lila as a scapegoat. Weeks turned into months. Search teams scoured nearby islands, but there was no trace of Lila Marks. Her name appeared on no passenger lists, no CCTV beyond that night. It was as if she had dissolved into the ocean. Amelia returned to London broken, her once glamorous life reduced to questions and suspicion. She stopped working, avoided social media, and withdrew from everyone she knew. The luxury apartment she had shared with Jason now felt like a shrine to everything she had lost. Still, she couldn't escape the haunting feeling that someone was watching her. Late at night, she would hear footsteps in the hallway or find her door slightly open when she was sure she'd locked it. Her friends said it was grief twisting her mind, but Amelia couldn't shake the dread. Then, almost a year after Jason's death, an unmarked envelope arrived at her doorstep. Inside was a single photograph, grainy, slightly blurred. It showed a woman standing on a beach in Thailand, her face turned toward the sea. The hair was unmistakably blonde. On the back, written in a shaky hand, were 6 words that froze Amelia in place. Asterisk, he lied to both of us. Asterisk. That moment confirmed what she had feared all along. Lila Marks was alive. The discovery of the photograph reignited the investigation that had long gone cold. Detectives traced the image to a coastal town in southern Thailand, where a foreign woman matching Lila Marks's description had been living under the name Laura May. Locals said she kept to herself, renting a small beach cabin and working occasionally as a dive instructor. She rarely spoke, never socialized, and always seemed to be waiting for something. When investigators arrived, they found the cabin locked from the inside. Lila was there, lifeless, her body cold and still. On the table beside her was a notebook, a nearly empty bottle of sleeping pills, and a final letter addressed to whoever finds me. The letter detailed everything. Lila admitted she had followed Jason and Amelia to the Maldives, desperate to confront him after he abandoned her. She described how she waited until Amelia was alone, then approached Jason near the water's edge. Their argument escalated quickly. Jason told her he never loved her, that she was a mistake, and he was done with her for good. In a moment of uncontrollable rage, she pushed him into the shallow waves. When he tried to get up, she held him down, screaming until the water silenced him. Panic took over. She fled, hiding on nearby islands until she could escape the country under a fake identity. Amelia received a copy of the confession weeks later. She read it in silence, her tears falling onto the paper. Lila's words revealed a tragedy built on lies, betrayal, and obsession. The man Amelia thought she knew had led 2 women to destruction. Standing by the window of her empty apartment, Amelia watched the rain fall and realized love hadn't just died in paradise. It had been buried there, along with the truth.